Welcome to this week's webinar, Love Heals. I'm Michael Dalton, and this is Bioenergy Healing. And our talk tonight, we say, is Love Heals. Wow, we want to dissect that, open that up, and have a look into why love heals and why sometimes people don't heal, So we'll unravel all of that tonight. I'm just adding a few people here, so bear with me. We're just getting started. Thank you to everybody who's joining this evening, those on video and those off video. It's a pleasure to come and offer these evenings because after 30 years of doing bioenergy, I've got this huge wealth of knowledge and wisdom after working with thousands of clients and students over the years. And I wanted a way of just bringing all of that energy that I have inside out. And these webinars was a way of bringing the creativity, like to bring it out. And so I hope that you'll see that tonight as we unravel why love heals, and indeed why sometimes people don't heal. As we unravel that tonight, that it may give you some insights and some understanding into how to get your body healing much quicker, much faster, much more effectively. And if there's times where your body's not healing and there's something in the way, then maybe something I say tonight will help you get out of the way or help release some things that might be holding you back. And so that's our plan for tonight. So again, thank you for jumping on. So where to begin? Oh, there's so much, right? There's so much when it comes to healing, when it comes to energy, when it comes to talking about all of this. But I think in terms of healing, there's one particular chakra within the energy system, within the body's bioenergy field. There's one particular chakra that stands out, and that one particular chakra stands out because it plays a role that determines whether people heal or whether they don't heal. And that particular chakra is the heart chakra. Now, I know sometimes people follow me, they think like, because I talk about the solar plexus chakra a lot, which is the power center. And when people are chronically ill, there tends to be a blockage in the solar plexus. I mean, almost like every time, if someone is chronically ill, the solar plexus is blocked. So, a lot of people think like, isn't that the most important chakra when it comes to illness and sickness? And in many ways, yes. However, I would say like that chakra might always be blocked, but one of the chakras that determines whether that chakra opens up and release those blockages, believe it or not, is the heart chakra. The heart chakra is the doorway into a person's energy field. It's the opening into a person's energy. So, you can have the most amazing practitioner in the world standing in front of a client, and if they are not open or willing to receive healing, they have the capacity and the willpower to shut down their energy field through their heart chakra. And I mean, this isn't just healing, right? Like you've experienced that in your life before, right? Like you walk up to someone and you have this feeling their heart is very closed, right? They got a defense mechanism around them. They can even be very like, it feels almost like very hard, as opposed to someone who feels like more gentle or soft. You approach someone and they're very approachable, and then you meet someone else and they're not very approachable. So you could say like one, their energy is open, so you feel approachable, you feel like you can go in and you can connect. And then with another person, it feels like very standoffish. And so people's energy tends to either invite you in or push you away. I mean, that's in relationships, that's in friendships, that's with neighbors, Some neighbors will invite you in for a cup of tea, other neighbors won't give you the time of day, right? Like that's just, all of that is part of life. But that's no different in healing. Sometimes people come into healing and their energy system is closed down. And so before you can do energy healing on someone, there's that specific area that needs to open, because when it opens, the whole energy system opens. But when it's closed, the whole energy system is closed. So tonight we say love heals, and we say that the most important chakra in the energy field for love to be received into the body, for love to be able to get into the body, and for healing to take place is the heart chakra. It's a chakra just here. It's in the center of the spinal column at the back, where we have these energy points or chakras in the front of the body. And the heart chakra is right here, just over from the heart. It's just right in the heart spinal area. So when the energy is flowing freely and open through the heart, then the emotional defense mechanism comes down. And so when the emotional defense mechanism comes down, the body is open and receptive to receiving healing, is open and receptive to, we'll say vulnerability, right? But when the heart chakra is closed, and so the different chakras or different energy points in the body tend to balance each other out. So as an example, if the solar plexus is a little on the excessive side, and the solar plexus being the power center and the fire center, if the fire center is kind of a little in overdrive, then the defense mechanism is going to be very, it's like the fight or flight. It's the defense mechanisms are more activated. We're not as relaxed. We're a little bit more in the sympathetic nervous system. But when the solar plexus is kind of highly activated, we'll have this more protective shield around ourselves, and the heart will be more closed. So it's like the energy is going to the fire center, the power center, in the solar plexus, we said it's the solar plexus is beautiful. It's the passion center, it's the fire center, but it's also like the defense mechanism. It's where also the ego is as well, right? So when we have wounds from childhood, from events that have taken place in our life, if you've been in a relationship and the relationship is, has ended and things went wrong, or you feel wounded after, that your solar plexus goes into overdrive, and then the compensation of that, if the solar plexus goes excessive, the heart chakra will go deficient. So the one just above it will close down. And then the closing down is kind of really our way of protecting ourselves, right? Like, you've been in a hurtful situation, and then your first thought is, I'm not going to love anyone again, then I can't get hurt, right? So this is the kind of norm. And although we talk about it and we joke about it, there's a lot of truth in that, right? There's a lot of truth in the defense mechanism, right? Like if I'm not open, then I can't get hurt. And we all know this kind of stuff theoretically, right? Like it's in books, we post memes on it, so we all know it intellectually, and we know it like on that level. But really breaking down, like in a healing session, why people heal and why people don't heal. Most people, when they come in for healing, they've no idea that they're so emotionally defensive. They think they're open. They think their mind is open. They think their heart is open, and when they come in for a healing session, the fact that they're coming for treatment and they're offering and willing to pay for treatment, they consider themselves open, and to some degree they are, right? Like if someone is not open to healing at all, they're not even going to go for treatment, right? Like you could have someone that goes for treatment, but they're there because someone else wants them to be there. So, if someone is there because someone else wants them to be there, I see that a lot, then they're usually not very open at all. They're just there to please the person, but they really don't want to receive healing. So now you get someone, say, that does want to receive healing. They want to get better. They don't want to be suffering, right? And they come in for healing, and they're so wanting and willing to get better, but it's just like they don't know how. They've tried everything. They've done so many things, and nothing is working for them. And it's even hard for the person to believe that they can get better if they've tried different treatments and they've paid lots of money and they've done all these different things and nothing has worked. You know, I have empathy for that, because I kind of feel like, well, you know, how can someone keep going when they've tried so many things and nothing is working for them? And so I find huge empathy in the fact when someone comes in, they're like, you know, I don't even know or believe I can get better. I'm like, I totally get it. After you've tried so much, it must be hard to keep believing that you can get better. But I always notice though, like that, if you can meet the person empathetically where they are and open that heart and keep opening that heart, that the more the heart chakra opens up, then even in a single treatment, miracles can happen. The most miraculous stuff can happen in a single session. You know, and over several weeks, you can unravel people and open them up and help them let go of sometimes years and years of trauma, years of being closed down, years of being sick and ill, from migraines to cancer to back pain to arthritis. You know, as the person's energy opens up, like, I mean, even anxiety, years and years of anxiety can disappear for someone, you know, just by opening up the energy, by opening up the heart chakra, by getting the energy open and flowing. And so when people come in for healing, again, it's not uncommon that they don't realize how closed the heart chakra is, how closed down one might be. And I think one of the things that can actually lead to illness and sickness is when we've come away from love. And it's not romantic love, right? Look, romantic love can come and go, right? We've all experienced that, you know, comes in one door, it goes out the other door. But love, like in the terms of like love that just is, our love, our self-love, love for ourselves, love for who and what we are, love for what we're doing or participating in, love for life, love for getting up in the morning, the love that just is, like we are love. And when we're vibrating and feeling, connecting with that love that is inside, then the work that we're doing will feel more joyous, more vibrant. The relationships we're in will feel better. You know, it's like, it's not like, I often think in terms of like love in relationships. Love is a choice that you make, right? You choose to love someone every day, you know? So like love is more of like, this is a choice I'm making to love this person every day. But it's like, it's not that, otherwise it's kind of like, as things go up and down and things change, you might fall out of love very fast. So love isn't something like, in terms of relationship, I think it's a choice that we continuously make every day. We choose to love someone, right? But in terms of our love, like the self-love, it's just who we are. It's what we are. It's not even based on what we do or what we give. And in terms of like relationship, like if we're giving love out to someone and we're expecting love back in return, I call that kind of pendulum love. You know, it goes back and forth. Like, I gave you something, you need to give me something. I don't know, that kind of love is just like a pendulum. It's a roller coaster, right? You're always going to feel up and down, in and out, pull back and forth. Like if you're in that kind of pendulum love, that maybe the person, like especially for new love, I think there's nothing worse than new love to really pull people's emotions and their strings and stuff. But in terms of like in healing, I think of it as like when we find like true love within ourselves, we're not in that pendulum love, right? That your true love is your self-worth, you're in your center. you know. And so in terms of that, like when we're not living in that true love in our center, maybe we're doing jobs that we really don't want to do. Well, how long are you going to do that before you get sick? Right? Like how long will your body keep working at something that you really don't like before it starts letting you know, I don't, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. If you're in that kind of relationship of like, you're waiting by the phone for someone to text you, if you're being up, that's almost like obsessiveness, right? So I think like sometimes we confuse love for fear and obsession, right? Like is that really love? Like there's this fear or obsession when it comes to relationships, and the fear is like fear of someone leaving you, fear of losing them. But I mean, really, like true love has no fear of loss. Like it just simply is. Like like even if you lose someone, it doesn't take away from the fact that the love that you have with them today or yesterday, it doesn't stop being real. The love that you're feeling at this moment does not stop being real, even if you lose someone or someone walks away or a relationship ends, after 20 years. It doesn't mean that the 20 years that there was anything wrong. It is what it is. It's like you add 20 years of love, and true love is there's a sense of non-attachment to it. There's a sense of freedom about it. Now, at the end of the day, we're human beings, and we can talk about the spirituality of true love and unconditional love, and it sounds very mystical and magical and beautiful. But as human beings, I think love is really messy, right? Like it's a messy, dirty kind of love that when we're in relationships, that when we're in jobs, when we risk getting up in the morning and going out and meeting people and having friends, love is kind of messy, and it's difficult and it's challenging, and it's all of the things, it's all of the things. And yet there is an opening or a closing when it comes to love. And when we get hurt, when we get wounded, we tend to close the heart down. And when we close the heart down, we tend to suffer. And so that messy, crazy kind of love, on one level, it's exciting, but we suffer. We suffer because of it, right? We're in fear, we're in obsession, and we suffer. It's like the person breaks up with you, or they don't text you, and then you're in that you're in that suffering mode. But it's like true, authentic love when we're in our center and we're in our alignment. There's no worry about a text message, or someone leaves, they leave. There's this non-attachment, but there's no fear associated with it. It's there's a beauty in it. And I think in healing, I've seen how, when people get sick, they've come away from love. They come away from love. I mean, they still think it's love. Like people think, oh, I love this person, right? Sometimes you're in love with falling in love and not with the actual person. Has that ever happened? Anyone here, right? You fall in love with falling in love, right? You fall in love with the momentum and the energy of it. But it's like, then you realize, I don't even know if I like this person, but these are the kind of things that we do in terms of, do we even like truly love, or do we love the image that we have of the person? Do we create an image or an idea of the person and fall in love with that image and that idea, versus do we actually even see the person? Do we actually see people as they are, or do we perceive them as we are? I mean, we can unravel this into like an onion. There's like layers and layers and layers to pull away. But in terms of, when the heart chakra has gone through this bouncing around and feels wounded and closes down. The problem with the heart chakra closing down is the main kind of energy that gets stuck in the heart chakra when the heart chakra closes down is grief and regrets. So when the heart chakra closes down, we tend to like get stuck in grief, and we tend to get stuck in regrets, and then we cycle around, like it's kind of like a loose cable that keeps like spinning around. We keep going circling around and around back into grief or into regrets. I think grief and regret is really important for us to make sure that we're healing and not holding on to, because in my experience, it's really, looking at the emotional cause behind illness and sickness, that when the heart chakra is closed, it really can have a huge influence on why people get, illness like cancer, right? So, I mean, what's in the heart chakra area, of course, the lungs. And even though we associate cancer with the root chakra, different cancers are associated with different chakras. So it's always, when it comes to cancer, it's always the root chakra. But if you had like lung cancer, then it's the root and the heart chakra. If you have pancreatic cancer, it's the solar plexus and the root chakra. Versus like prostate cancer, ovarian cancer will be the sacral chakra and the root chakra. Skin cancer will be root. So throat cancer will be the throat chakra and the root chakra. So there's different chakras associated with different cancers, and then where does that show up in the body? But one of the things, say, with lung cancer is that when you really break down the emotional cause behind, why people can get lung cancer, it tends to be they've had a lot of regrets in their life, a lot of grief or a lot of regrets that they haven't been able to release. And so it lingers in the field, it lingers in the lungs. And if you think of grief, it's like, it's like something eating away at you, right? And I mean, that's what cancer is, right? Cancer is eating away at you, right? Cancer cells grow faster than normal cells, and they're eating away at the body. So it's kind of like emotions that are stuck in the body eat away at the body. So in terms of like, we really want to make sure that heart chakra is open and flowing, because that, like, worst case scenario, it closes down and leads to illness and sickness. At the very least, when the heart chakra is closed, we're probably not going to be feeling very, I think of the heart chakra like a flower, right? So when we've had a negative experience around relationship, it's like the flower, it's like it closes down, right? It stops taking the sun, the light, think of the sun as the love. It stops receiving love. It's like, the heart chakra kind of feels closed. It gets defensive. It gets protective, so your heart is being hurt, I mean, people say to me, Micah, my heart is being broken, and so they, when they come in, there's a protectiveness around the heart, and so it closes down. And so I think the beautiful thing that what healing does is it opens up the heart chakra. It does a lot of different things, but one of the things it does is when that flower of the heart, we call it the anahata, when that is closed, the body's not receiving what the most powerful force in the universe, love. The body's not receiving it when that heart chakra is closed. It's like the last thing the person feels is loving. They feel shut down, they feel disconnected. Your heart chakra is like how you plug into the internet. It's how you plug into the interconnected web of the universe. And so it's how we plug into the universal unconditional love, right? So if the heart chakra is closed down, we feel disconnected. There's nothing like a closed heart chakra for someone to go into depression. For like a closed heart chakra can totally shut off the chemical system, can lead a person to feeling depressed. But then equally, an open heart chakra can lead someone out of illness and sickness, can turn their health around, can let go and release burdens and baggage that they've been encumbered with for years. So an open heart chakra can uncumber all your baggage, can release fear and obsessions, can expand and open the heart. You know, just like when someone feels love, right? When someone feels love, they feel lighter, they feel more open, they feel more expansive. Well, really, when we're doing treatments of bioenergy and we're working on someone's heart chakra, at the end of the session, you know, bioenergy practitioners will always say, like, the most common thing we hear at the end of a session is, I feel so much lighter, I feel so much more open, so much freer, so much lighter, freer, more open. Well, what is that? That's simply that the heart chakra is open. It, you know, from the beginning of the session, the closeness, that like we have this defense mechanism, we don't even realize how close we are. And then by the end of the session, the heart chakra is blown open. So what is it that the person's feeling? They're feeling their own heart chakra open. People are like, I don't know what you did to me, but I feel so much lighter and so much freer. Yeah, well, that's what love is. Love heals. How does love heal? When it comes into the heart chakra and it opens up and expands into the body, where we're able to breathe more fully into the heart, into the circulatory system, into the lungs. When we're breathing into the lungs, we're like breath is basically love. Breath is the life force of the universe, right? There's no life without breath. So it's like within everything exists within everything, right? Just like a poet would say that, you know, within a flower there exists a cloud. The cloud exists in everything, right? Because the cloud, like when it rains, the rain feeds the flower, therefore the rain exists and the cloud exists as part of the flower. So everything is part of everything. Well, in terms of our breath is love. And when we breathe and when we're unrestricted in the heart and we're breathing love into the heart, the lungs, and the circulatory system. And that love is breathing, moving, circulating throughout the body, resetting the nervous system, healing the body, renewing, replenishing the cells of the body. You know, and so when that heart chakra is unrestricted, when it's open, when it's flowing, we're breathing fully open and expansively into the heart. But of course, the challenge is that so much of the time, the heart chakra is closed. And when we're breathing with a closed heart chakra, then the way that we breathe is restricted. The way that we're unconsciously closing down our heart, closing down love, is like we're breathing into a closed heart chakra, which keeps the heart closed and keeps the lung closed and keeps the circulatory system closed. And so in terms of when the heart chakra opens up, it becomes easier for us to let go of our resistance. It comes easier to let go. It comes easier to receiving love. Like, you know, I always think it's like receiving love, you're really receiving what's already there, right? Because if we are love and everything is love and we are love, then really what we're only ever doing is actually getting out of the way of what we're receiving, you know. So you can intellectually know that you are love, but then emotionally and physically not be able to reach that, in the sense of, like, you know, you could intellectually think like, I'm a loving person, but perhaps you're not feeling that, right? Like you don't feel it inside of yourself. although intellectually you know it. I mean, you've read it in a book, right? It must be true, right? So there's a lot of things that we know of, but we haven't fully integrated. And so that's what for me, healing is like helping people to take it out of the head and to bring it into the body. So it's like, you know, sometimes, I mean, I get clients who obsess over love and over relationships. And I'm like, look, you're not even in a healthy relationship with yourself. Forget about trying to get into a relationship with someone else, right? You know, as we can shout that out as we come up to Valentine's Day, right? Like if you're not in a relationship with someone else, you know, give yourself a pat on the back, right? It's probably a good thing. It's much better to be in no relationship than to be in the wrong relationship, right? It's the first relationship always is we have to come back into right relationship with the self, right? And if you're in a relationship that it's unhealthy or it's not working well, rather than getting rid of the person or rather than trying to fix it, it's still the first principle in bioenergy. Come back into a loving, healthy relationship with you. When you come back into a loving, healthy relationship with you, the person will reflect that back to you. You'll create more change in your relationships by doing nothing. I know that sounds weird, than you will by trying to change the other person. The only thing you're ever doing is coming back into your alignment, correcting your energy, coming back into balance. So in terms of like healing, we're letting go of our regrets, of our grief, of our shame, of our guilt, of our fears. We're returning back to the vertical flow of energy. This is the kind of collective energy that we're in, where I sometimes think like that different things are up for healing at different times. And in the world right now, I think the big thing that's up for healing right now is self-love. I think that what we're seeing the world go through is really a collapse of the ecosystem. It's not a collapse of the ecosystem. It's a collapse of the ecosystem, a collapse of the corruption and the out of alignment that corporations and governments and banking systems and have been living and out of alignment. And so as a society, as a people, we're also a reflection of that consciousness that has led to that being out of alignment. And we're in this tremendous transformation right now. You know, we could call it the caterpillar to the butterfly, right? The Buddhists call it the shift into the golden age, where we discover within us the golden Buddha, where we discover within us, you know, maybe instead of the golden Buddha, we could say self-love, where we actually return back to self-love. And so the first relationship is in bioenergy is as we return back to love, as we come back to the self, then we start to heal from the inside out. When we come back to self-love, the body heals from the inside out. When we are in that self-love and we connect with nature, with the cosmos and with the earth, and we come back into so our first relationship is coming back into right relationship with the self. The second relationship is coming back into right relationship with nature. So when we're in right relationship with the earth and with the cosmos and the sun and the waters and the rivers, you know, we're not destroying the planet when we're in right relationship, right? When we're in right relationship with the self, when we love and have self-love, we come into right relationship with nature, which is that we have love for nature. We're the guardian of nature. We're taking care of the land. We're looking after the rivers, you know. So as we come into self-love, taking care of the body, you know, so many people like are abusing their body with drugs and chemicals and all the different ways that we can like numb the body with in so many different ways. We can numb, we can freeze, we can shut down our feelings, we can shut down our experiences, we can close down our hearts in multiple ways that we can do that. But when we're in that place where our heart is closed down, then the way in which we treat the world tends to be from a very closed place, you know, not from a very kind and loving place. And then the same when we interact with other people, if the heart is closed, it's going to be reflected in how we treat other people. It's going to be reflected in how corporations are run, governments are run, community centers are run. All of these things are going to be fed by whether the heart is open or the heart is closed. So in terms of the healing process, as we come back into right relationship with the self, and we come back into alignment with the self, then the second relationship, we come back into right relationship with nature. And the third relationship is we come back into right relationship with each other. Now imagine a world in which we're in right relationship with each other, where imagine that there was enough food on the planet to feed everybody, right? Imagine that. Imagine that there's enough resources for everyone. I mean, sometimes I think that there's probably more food and more resources than we need many, many times over, right? So then if we're like, how is there people hungry, and how is there so much calamity in the world when there's so much resources and so much productivity and so much creativity and so much finances and so much of all of the amazing things that there is available? Why is the world such a mess at times? And it's because if people are not in their heart, then those things are not a priority, right? Like if people were in their heart, then I think of, you know, my mother alone. If someone came into her house and she was hungry, the first thing she'd do is make sure they're fed. You know, if someone comes into the house, it's like, have you eaten? Right? You know, like if people were in their hearts, like our mothers and our grandmothers, the very first thing is there'd be no one suffering from hunger. Everyone would be fed. It's the first thing they take care of. Why? Because, you know, they're in their heart, right? Like they're in their heart, and feeding people just seems like a natural thing when you're in your heart. So as we collectively shift and move back to the heart, I think that, you know, these crazy changes that the world is going through, we're going to see a realignment of the world. We're seeing a restructuring and a realignment of governments, medical systems, banking systems, financial systems, all these things, education system. You know, we may see in the next couple of years like some really big transformations, right? And I think that when you bring that back down to us individually, I think that comes back to us returning from the ego system to the ecosystem. So it's getting harder and harder for us to stay in our wounds. So if you've been ignoring, you know, your childhood wounds, if you've been ignoring the things that cause you pain and suffering, if you've been ignoring those, and maybe you got away with it for years, but maybe you're finding it's harder and harder to get away with it. Maybe it's harder and harder to keep doing a job that you don't want to do. Maybe it's harder and harder not to speak up for yourself, not to speak out for yourself, to keep doing things that, you know, you keep saying yes to things that you mean no to. I feel energetically that the way the energies are raising, the way that they are in the collective energy right now, it's harder and harder for people to keep doing what they don't want to do. Does that make sense to anybody? And so this beautiful healing process of the solar plexus is bringing itself into balance. Like I sometimes think we're being pulled into balance, kicking and screaming, right? Like if you don't bring your life into alignment, you know, the universe is going to bring you into alignment, kicking and screaming, but one way or the other, the pendulum always has to come back to the center. One way or the other, no matter what chaos that we're in, the pendulum always wants to find itself back to the center. And love is like that. Love always wants to find itself back to the center. You know, so it's like, if you've come away from loving yourself, if you've come away from loving nature, if you've come away from loving each other, nature is always going to find a way to bring you back again. And I think that one of the things about bringing us from the ego system into the ecosystem is we will get humbled. Nature has a way of humbling us. Love has a way of humbling us. And you might think, well, is that love that we can get so humbled? You know, it's like compassion can be really hard and difficult and almost like feel cruel at times, you know, but it's also compassion that dissolves dependency and codependency. It's sometimes people need a kick in the ass. Sometimes people, if we're not embracing self-growth, if we're staying stuck, if we're repeating the same patterns over and over, if we're staying closed and staying stuck, and at the same level we're saying, I want change in my life, and I want like my life to be better, and I want more love, and I want more happiness and more joy and more finances, more health, more what, like on one level you're wanting all of these things, another level you're staying stuck and small. The universe is always listening to you, listening to what you want, listening to what is being called forward by you individually and by the collective, and knows how to kick your ass to get things flowing and moving, you know. And I always think like that the universe like has a lot of patience. Like the universe will give us a lot of time to do the work on ourselves. The universe will, like, you know, give us encouragement and support as opportunities. You know, it's like I say, someone says, hey, I'm ready to do some healing, and then an ad pops up and it's like bioenergy healing. They see your ad the same day that they say they're ready for healing, you know, or an email comes in and it's like, on one level a person's like, oh, I'm really ready to receive, and then at that same time that they say they're ready to receive, the universe will give them an opportunity. The universe will meet them halfway. But it's like, if we keep rejecting the growth, if we keep like pushing the self-care, taking care of ourselves away, if we just think like, oh, it's an expense, and it's like, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, when we just kind of keep putting our self-care aside and keep putting our growth aside, I find like that the universe will make us make time. You know, if we're ignoring, because I sometimes think that our soul has one purpose. Our soul's purpose is to return us to love. And it's not concerned whether we're happy or sad. It has one purpose. To like, think about what returning us to love is. It's returning us to freedom. Not that pendulum love that we were talking about earlier. It's returning us to like love that just is, like pure, unadulterated, vibrant love. It's returning us to unconditional love. It's returning us to full awareness, consciousness. It's returning us to like full enlightenment, full awareness, full conscious love. So our soul has one purpose, which is to wake us the fuck up, which is to get us out of our own way and to bring us back to love. And it'll do it gently, as much as it can do it gently. And if we just keep rejecting it and keep closing ourselves off, then the messages will get louder and louder and louder. And eventually it will come like a force, like a force of nature will come knocking on our door as illness or sickness, and it'll say, listen, it's time to let go of these things. It's time to face these truths. It's time to go inside. It's time to slow down and stop what you're doing, to change direction of your life. Like, if we don't open up and pay attention, the universe and our soul has a way of stopping us, interrupting us, and getting us to pay attention. And, you know, I really think that, you know, you don't need to wait until you're sick or ill to ask yourself, what message does this illness and sickness have for me, right? You don't need to wait till that time that you're ill and you're sick in order to tune into your body. It's like, as people open up to their energy system and open up to the chakra system and start connecting with their body, mind, and spirit, and you start to tune into your body and you start to learn how to like breathe and feel and tune into the energy system, you can eliminate hundreds of potential illnesses and sicknesses from your body. And you can start to like tune into your body before you get sick, right? So you start to listen, you start to tune in, and you start to pay attention. But it's like, where do we have the time for that? You know, life is so busy. That's something you're going to do later, right? It's like, and so often when people come for healing, they come to healing, you know, at a point where they're sick and they're ill, and it's going on for so long that they're doing all the physical stuff. They're going to the doctor, they're having pharmaceuticals, they're going to the chiropractor, they're going to the massage, they're going to the physio, they're going to the homeopath, they're doing like all of the things. And like, I find like that when people reach that point where like nothing is working, there's a place of humbleness in that place. There's a place of like, that place where we give up, that place where like, I don't know anymore. I mean, I talked about this last week in Law of Attraction, where we talked about there's a magical place, the place where you almost give up. It is also the place where everything happens. That place where you stop trying to get pregnant, that's when you get pregnant. The place when you stop trying to get into a relationship, that's when you get into a relationship. And there's almost a place where you stop trying to heal, that you start to heal, you know. But it's like that place where we get so humble because you're trying everything and doing so much to get better, to become healthy. And the only thing missing is love. That if the heart chakra is closed, no matter how much treatment you're having from all the different sources, if emotionally we close ourselves down, nothing can penetrate that wall. There's no drug strong enough to penetrate your emotional wall. You know, the only thing that can open your emotional wall is another human being with an open heart. Because as we open our hearts and we breathe together and we connect together, as one heart will open up another heart, you know. But just as like a closed heart can't open up another closed heart, like a dark room can't make another room light. It's like you turn the light on and everything brightens, everything opens. So in terms of like healing, the reason that love heals is love is an open heart chakra. It's the center of the energy system. Did you know that? That the heart chakra, you know, even though a lot of times people think the Tantien point or the solar plexus chakra is the center of the energy system because it's more like the center of the body. But the actual center of the energy system is actually the heart chakra. There's 3 chakras above. the throat, the brow, and the crown. And then there's 3 chakras below: the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root. So the heart chakra is in the center of the energy system. And when the heart chakra is in the vertical flow, is in alignment, then we're in love. Now, it's not an in love with someone. Well, it kind of is. We're in love with, we're just love. We're in ourselves. We're in our body, right? I think, like, when it comes to healing, a lot of people don't realize they've left their body. Whenever you've experienced pain or suffering, you've left your body. There's areas of your body that you might not be living in. Boom, there's a thought for you, right? There's areas of your body where you may not be living in. If you being in like unhealthy or toxic relationships, or you've had a loss of a loved one, maybe a mother or father, or a relationship, someone that you really loved, you may not be living in the heart anymore. You may not be living in the lungs anymore. You may not be, able to digest emotions. You might not be living in your digestive system anymore. When we don't feel safe to fully be in the physical body starts to break down. When we return back into the body, when love returns into the body, when we start to breathe back in and feel our way back into the body, love heals, right? Love heals. When we return to the body, love purges fear. It purges sadness. It purges grief. It purges regrets. It purges anger. It purges guilt and shame. It's not about getting rid of, like, sometimes people think, like, well, what's the opposite of love? Is it fear, right? Like, and we have to, like, we're balancing between fear and love. I don't know that that's true. I don't think that love has an opposite. Love just is, right? We can go from fear to no fear, but, like, love has no opposite. It just simply is. It's what makes up the whole universe. It's what makes up our body. But when we become disconnected from our body, maybe you've fallen out of love with your body. Maybe there's areas of your body that you don't love. Maybe it's your fat belly, maybe the fat stomach, right? Like, maybe in your mind you want a 6-pack and maybe what you got is a keg, or the spare tire. So sometimes we don't love areas of our body, right? Maybe your skin, maybe your face, maybe your hair, you get a little bit of balding and you're like, oh, you're not feeling as attractive as you were when you were younger. It's like, there's lots of things that we can find fault with, especially about our body. But those areas, imagine if we're finding fault over and over every day, again and again. And that criticism, that punishment, that way of, if we spoke to our friends the way that we spoke to ourselves, we probably wouldn't have any friends. Right? So we have to return love back to the self. We got to start speaking to ourselves, like, in loving, kind ways, and returning love back into the body, back into the mind, back into the heart. The language that we speak to the self should be loving. The way that we should take time to ourselves. We should have dates with ourselves, a relationship with the self. When you make an appointment with yourself, don't cancel it. We shouldn't beat ourselves up, right? And we start to treat ourselves in a loving, kind, beautiful way. So as we come up towards Valentine's Day next week, think of it this way. It's like coming into a healthy, loving relationship with you. If you really come into a healthy, loving relationship with you, oh my God, imagine as you love you, the energy that resonates and vibrates out to your family, your friends, your partner, your husband, your wife, when you start to feel love for you, then you'll be able to receive the love that they have for you. They may have always loved you deeply and you've never felt it fully. You can only feel someone else's love to the depth of which you can feel love, self-love, right? A lot of times it's not that other people don't love you. You know, I think as people, we're pretty fucking awesome, right? You know, as people, there's people in your life who really think that you're friggin' awesome. They think that you're amazing. Yeah, we might not think that about ourselves. Like I find doing work and courses, most people have a really bad image of themselves. They have a bad self-talk about themselves, right? But it's like how other people see us is sometimes really beautiful, really magical. And as we start to like really start to come back to the body and start to love ourselves, we start to heal ourselves from the inside out. What we're really returning to at this time, as this whole world is going through this huge transformation, we're returning to the heart chakra. We're returning to self-love. And self-love is not selfish. Self-love is simply returning to love. And because everything is the one thing, we're returning to the one. The many becomes the one. We're returning to the one energy system, the one biofield, the one body, one mind, one spirit. We're coming back into the oneness. So as we return to that self-love, then other people will reflect that depth of love back to us. But you can't go deeper with someone than you're able to go within yourself. You're not able to feel as deeply someone else's love as it can only be matched at a level at which you love yourself. For me, I think that's why doing healing and treatment and training is so important, right? Like this is why it's so important, because if you could just love yourself, it'd be friggin' awesome, you know? But how's that going for you, right? We all need help and support. There's areas that we don't even see that we're not loving ourselves. One of the biggest things I find is we don't know what we don't know. Right? So what's the purpose of a practitioner? The practitioner is coming in and working with you and helping to identify the areas of your body that need more love, not less. Identifying which chakras, which energy points in your body need to receive more healing, not less. And healing is love. So which areas, which chakras need to receive more flowing energy, more motion, not more stuck energy? You know, so what is love? Love is healing. You know, what work are we doing in bioenergy healing? Well, we've always been doing the work of love, the work for which all other work is merely preparation. What is it that everybody needs? More love, not less, right? That's what we say. Everyone needs more love, not less. And we need more love in the areas that we are unloving. The areas that we are unloving, the outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And so if the outer world is pretty messed up, then maybe our inner world needs some healing. And as enough of us come in and heal our inner world, then we can be the anchor for a new level of light that is emerging and emitting around our planet. The illuminated energy, just like the caterpillar goes to the butterfly, and as the caterpillar is completely dissolved, that's like the ecosystem, right? So our collective ecosystem is being dissolved. We're losing the old version of ourselves. It's getting harder and harder. Has anybody noticed that it's getting harder and harder to go back to your old way of being? Like it's harder and harder to go back to who you used to be. Sometimes there's parts of you that wants to go back to an older way of being, but it's like you can't find it anymore. It's you can't grasp it. And that's because that the ego is dissolving. We're literally losing that old version of ourselves. And as the ego dissolves and the ecosystem emerges, an ecosystem that is based on the heart energy, the love energy, we're going through this transformational portal. The heart chakra is the portal of love, and as we transform and shift through this portal, it's almost like the whole world is getting like an internet upgrade. So whether we, I know a lot of people are like anti 5G. Well, forget the 5G. This is 5D. This is fifth dimension. This isn't electromagnetic energy. This is universal energy, which is love. And we're shifting from the old 3D into the 5D, into the fifth dimensional energy. And as we shift and open and expand into that fifth dimensional energy, we're shifting and opening and expanding and returning into love. That's simply it. We're returning into love. And so part of doing healing sessions on people is really helping people to receive this, because love is a signal. It's like we're not as physical as we think we are. Like in terms of like the physical body is made up of cells and receptors. And we are, even if the body dies, we're still broadcasting. We are pure, full, fractal light consciousness. We never cease to be. We're not just this physical body with like spirit inside of us. We are infinite, powerful, spiritual beings with this little physical body. And we're expressing our consciousness through this physical body. This physical body exists inside of our consciousness. It's not that consciousness exists inside of us. Everything exists inside of consciousness. Everything exists within this fifth dimension. And we're just simply opening up our awareness to see more of who and what we are. And think of like the horse with the blinkers. We've been living like the horse with blinkers in the third dimension for a long time, right? We only see what's in front of us. And now our minds, our consciousness is opening and expanding, and we're seeing more of the fractal, more of it's like the jigsaw puzzle. We're starting to see the pieces being connected together. And so as we open up to healing, we're opening up to receiving more love, the broadcast of love, which is us, being received in the receptors, which is the cells of our body. And then we get to see how our consciousness plays itself out, and our physical body is like the screen in which we project our consciousness on. So illness and sickness is sometimes a reflection of our openness and our closeness as we move through life. So if like we're feeling problems with the shoulders, maybe we feel burdened, problem with the lower back, we feel a lack of support, problems with our eyes, there's things we don't want to look at, problems with their ears, there's things we don't want to listen to. So the body is reflecting our consciousness back to us. It's streamlining and broadcasting our consciousness back to us. But all of that to surmise that we're pure streaming consciousness through a physical body. And sometimes we forget that we are light beings, full fractal consciousness expressing itself through a body. And sometimes we need help to, you can read it in the book and you can hear me say it to you, but sometimes we need help to bring it from here down to here, And that's what healing is. It's helping us take this wisdom out of the head and bring it into the body, to ground it into our being, not so that it's fully embodied in and integrated into our consciousness. So if you're interested in sessions, please check out our website, daltonsbio.com, and there's a list of practitioners. I'm in Vancouver, BC. I'm available for sessions, and please come and see me if you're interested. We also do sessions online as well. So if you can't travel, please check out some distant healing. We also have a healing evening coming up in Vancouver for those that might be in Vancouver. There's a healing evening on February the 21st, 7 to 9:30 p.m. It's just a 2.5-hour healing evening where we look at the power of the mind, the intent. We offer up and open up the body energy system, and then we also focus in on some reading. So it's a beautiful healing evening where you can come along and receive a 2.5-hour healing process, and we get you in connection to your breath and opening up to the energies. Excuse me. And then the other thing we have coming up is level 1 bioenergy workshop. So that's on March 11 and 12. And the level 1 bioenergy workshop is a beautiful way to start putting your health back in your hands, learning the first 12 powerful bioenergy healing techniques. And I think probably one of the best things with the level 1 bioenergy is really being able to take pain away. It's like, it's such a gift to be able to know how to go in and work on someone's energy field and to be able to take physical pain or emotional pain away. And I think, that's what I love to give to people. When, if you only did level 1 and you never went any further, imagine just being able to take other people's pain away. Every time we take some pain away, we're moving the world from the ecosystem to the ecosystem, from pain and suffering to love. And so that's, it's a way in which we can contribute, right? Like a way in which we can contribute. We can help take each other's pain away, pain and suffering. And level 1 is about helping your family, bring it back, bring it to your home, right? Work on yourself, your family, your friends, your pets, and get their pain, physical, emotional pain out of the body. And why? Because hurt people, right? Like when people are hurt, they hurt other people. And so one of the ways in which we can break this cycle, this karmic cycle of pain and suffering, is that we interrupt it with love. We interrupt it with healing, right? And that's what healing is. Healing is love. Healing is our openness and willing to come into someone's life, and their openness and willing to receive what we have to offer, and helping each other to open up and receive really each other. And as we receive each other, the giving and the receiving, we return back to love, to fully see someone, to fully receive another person. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship to really connect with another human being. In fact, like, healing is non-romantic. It's passionate in that it's connecting with the true essence of who we all are, which is love. But it's not a romantic love. It's a compassion love. It's like to actually be able to be with another person and to just truly love them unconditionally helps them return to love. It helps them, like, in that moment of forgiveness where a person feels loved by another person, they can release, their karmic wounds. They can return their body back to health and well-being. So level 1 is putting your health back in your hands and opening up to healing. We have a level 2 coming up in May, and the tickets for that actually go on sale in February 14th. And for those that sign up on February 14th, this is my 30th year doing bioenergy, and there's 30% of the level 2 bioenergy training. So there's a huge discount on level 2. First time we've done a big discount on the level 2. And it's from my 30th year, there's 30% off. But also if you sign up on February 14th, there's actually you'll get the level 1 for free. So there's you get level 1 for free, the online level 1, and you get 30% off the level 2. And level 2 practitioner training is really being able to work with multiple ailments, multiple illness, multiple sicknesses, and being able to work professionally as a practitioner. I think that now more than ever, like if you've ever felt like you're ready for a change in your life, or a change in your career, or something else that you want to do, I mean, I don't think that there's anything more magical and beautiful and powerful than bioenergy healing. It's a beautiful gift that you give yourself, whether you do it for yourself or whether you do it for other people. You know, it's a beautiful journey through the chakra system. It's a beautiful returning to love, opening your heart. You know, I often think too, like, self-care is not, you know, it's not an expense, it's an investment, right? Like when you invest in yourself, when you invest in your self-care, when you're learning healing, it's so funny when you learn it for other people. It's like I've often found, say someone is not getting better, you're trying to help them heal and they can't get better, and even if you're giving them healing and you wonder, with this particular person, why are they not getting better? I'm giving them beautiful healing, they're not getting better. And in some cases, what I found with that person who's just not getting better, the way to get them better is have them heal someone else. And I know that sounds bizarre, have them heal someone else. And what I found is like that when a person comes into training and they open up their heart to heal someone else, their own ailments disappear. I mean, I've seen people who, you know, they've tried everything, like 15 years of running around trying to heal everything. I give them 4 sessions of bioenergy, they're not getting better. I'm like, why are they not getting better? And then in the same time, we'll just say that person is super interested in learning healing. They learn healing, they're learning to put the healing back in their hands, and just like, even though they've got their own pain or suffering, they just want to help other people. And in those moments where they help other people, it literally heals their body. And I think, like, is that not the most powerful example that love heals? When you take the focus of you and you put it on other people, the universe in her beauty heals you. Like, how magical, how beautiful is that? Like that depth that the universe is. Anyway, our talk tonight was called Love Heals. I hope that you've enjoyed it. We've gone a bit over time, but thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to those who catch up after. Please join me on my Instagram account to stay up to tune with what we're offering. It's Michael Dalton's Bioenergy.